You can always tell when a woman's attention is resting on you. If you know what to look for, she might never admit it outright. She might even deliberately act like she couldn't care less. But attention is one of the hardest things for a human being to hide. It's in the way her gaze lingers a fraction of a second too long, the way her tone subtly softens when she addresses you, or how she pauses before responding, almost as if she's savoring the moment. These are micro signals, so small that if you're not paying attention, you'll miss them. But to the trained eye, they're as revealing as a confession. You see, attraction often creates an internal conflict. On one hand, she wants to protect her emotional position, to maintain the upper hand, or to avoid making herself vulnerable. On the other hand, the human brain is wired to focus more on things that matter to us. That focus leaks through, whether in lingering glances, unconscious mirroring, or a sudden shift in energy when you enter the room. You become a point of heightened awareness in her environment, and it shows. Sometimes the giveaway isn't in direct interaction, but in her divided attention. Watch how she responds when you speak in a group. She might be pretending to scroll on her phone, engage in another conversation, or look away. But if you track her subtle movements, you'll notice she still tilts her head slightly toward your voice. Her ears are tuned to your frequency, even if her eyes pretend otherwise. Psychologically, this is a fascinating space between desire and self-control. It's where people try to manage their urges without extinguishing them. For her, hiding interest may feel like protection, keeping her cards close until she's sure it's safe to play them. But the body rarely plays along with the same discipline as the mind. The eyes, in particular, are the most difficult to disguise. A quick glance can be intentional, but repeated, sustained micro glances are instinctive. They bypass deliberate thought. You'll also notice changes in her responsiveness. She might not initiate conversations outright, but she responds faster to your messages than to others. Or maybe she reacts more vividly to your humor, your opinions, even your mistakes. Her attention makes her more emotionally reactive to you, and that's a tell. The key here isn't to confront her about it or to inflate your ego because you think you've figured her out. It's to understand that attention is a form of investment. If she's giving it to you, even in subtle, concealed ways, she's already placed value on your presence. The real question becomes, what do you do with that knowledge? Do you chase her, breaking the delicate tension she's trying to maintain, or do you hold your frame, giving her the space to reveal more over time? The wise man recognizes that not all attention is meant to be pounced on immediately. Sometimes the most powerful move is to let her interest simmer, to allow the silent recognition between you to grow until she feels compelled to act on it herself. Because a woman who chooses to come toward you of her own accord is a woman whose attraction is deep enough to overcome her fear of vulnerability. And so, remember this, when a woman's attention lingers, it's never truly an accident. It's a glimpse into her inner world, a quiet admission without words. The question is whether you have the patience and discernment to notice it and the self-control to let it work in your favor. One of the most telling signs a woman is craving you, but trying to hide it is how her energy shifts around you. She may not say anything openly. She may even go out of her way to appear unaffected, as if you're just another person in the room. But emotional energy is very difficult to disguise. Humans are incredibly perceptive creatures. We may not consciously register every subtle cue, but our bodies often pick up on it before our minds catch up. Think about it. When someone truly matters to us, we feel it internally first. There's a slight rise in adrenaline, a small shift in breathing, the tiniest change in posture. These physical signals are the body's way of preparing for heightened interaction. When a woman is craving you but keeping it under wraps, these changes still occur. Only now, she's layering over them with a mask of composure. But no mask is perfect. You might notice her mood brighten when you enter the room, even if she tries to maintain her expression. Or perhaps she becomes just a bit more animated when she's speaking within earshot of you, as if unconsciously trying to draw your attention. It could also be the opposite. She becomes quieter, more reserved, because the intensity of her feelings makes her cautious. Both are forms of energetic shift. Both point to the same underlying truth: you alter her state. What's interesting is that these shifts often happen in micro moments. Maybe she's in the middle of laughing with someone else, but the second she spots you, there's an imperceptible pause before she resumes. Maybe she tilts her body in your direction when you're near, only to subtly readjust when she realizes she's doing it. These are moments her emotional state leaks through despite her conscious effort to control it. The psychology behind this is rooted in what's known as emotional attunement. When you're emotionally invested in someone, your nervous system becomes sensitive to their presence. It's not just attraction, it's biological wiring. Her brain is constantly scanning for your cues, even when she's pretending she's not. That's why her energy shifts so noticeably, even if she's trying to appear disinterested. The mistake many men make is rushing to expose or confront it. They'll say something like, "I know you like me," which instantly kills the very tension that makes her attraction exciting. A much better move is to quietly acknowledge the shift without calling it out. Simply register it, enjoy it, use it as information, not ammunition. Because here's the thing, energy doesn't lie. Words can be rehearsed, behaviors can be faked, but shifts in energy are involuntary. If your presence changes her atmosphere, she's already revealing more than she realizes. And in that space between what she feels and what she admits, that's where your advantage lies. So the next time you sense her energy tilt toward you, don't rush to break the moment. Let her keep her secret if she wants. The longer she hides it, the stronger it often grows, until hiding it is no longer an option. Another subtle but revealing sign a woman is craving you while trying to hide it is the way she mirrors you without realizing it. This isn't just about copying your actions in an obvious way, it's about her body naturally syncing with yours, as if your movements, tone, and energy create a rhythm she can't help but follow. This is not conscious imitation. In fact, if you point it out, she might deny it or laugh it off. But psychologists call this nonverbal synchrony, and it's deeply tied to connection and attraction. When two people are emotionally engaged, their nervous systems seek alignment. Their speech patterns start to match. Their gestures subtly echo each other. Even their breathing and heart rates can fall into the same tempo. You might notice her leaning back when you do, or crossing her legs shortly after you shift your posture. If you're speaking with a certain cadence, she may begin to speak in a similar rhythm without meaning to. Even her facial expressions may reflect yours. You smile, she smiles. You furrow your brow, she does the same. These micro mirrors are her subconscious way of staying in emotional step with you. The fascinating part is that this mirroring can also show up in choice of words or topics. She may pick up on certain phrases you use and start using them herself. Or you'll find her referencing something you said in a previous conversation, almost as if she's weaving her communication style closer to yours. This is not about flattery. It's about her psychic creating a bridge, a kind of unspoken "weh" instead of "you" and "me." The reason this matters is because mirroring in the realm of attraction is not casual. We only align ourselves physically and emotionally with those we're drawn to. If she were indifferent, her energy and mannerisms would remain independent of yours. But if she is craving you, even if she's doing everything she can to appear detached, her body will often betray her in these subtle echoes. Here's where most men go wrong. They think the right move is to jump in and play detective, pointing out every mirrored gesture like they've uncovered a secret. But when you do that, you pull her out of the emotional current and force her back into her head, where she can guard herself again. Instead, allow it to remain unspoken. Let the alignment breathe. The more it flows naturally, the more connected she feels, and the harder it becomes for her to suppress that attraction. Mirroring is one of the purest, least controlled indicators of desire. It bypasses logic, slips past pride, and reveals what she might not even be ready to admit to herself. And if you're patient enough to notice without confronting, you'll often find that her hidden craving becomes less hidden over time until her actions speak so loudly that no words are necessary. Because in the end, when someone's body starts speaking your language, it's only a matter of time before their heart does too. Another powerful sign that a woman is craving you but hiding it is when she becomes unusually attentive to the smallest details about you. She remembers things you didn't even think she was listening to. It's in the way she recalls the name of your childhood pet, the fact that you don't like your coffee too sweet, or the random song you mentioned weeks ago. She stores these pieces of you like treasures, and then they quietly slip out in conversation, often without her realizing how much she's revealing. This kind of detail-oriented focus is rarely accidental. Human beings are naturally selective in what they remember. Our minds are flooded with information daily, but we only retain what we attach emotional significance to. When she's hiding her desire, she may avoid grand gestures or overt signs of affection, but her attention will still betray her. She notices when you've had a haircut. She catches the shift in your tone when you're tired. She remembers the things that matter to you, even when you've long forgotten you mentioned them. This attentiveness also shows up in her timing. She might reach out just when you've been quiet for a while, sensing that something might be wrong. She might send you a recommendation that perfectly fits a conversation you had weeks ago, proving she's been thinking about you in your absence. It's not always about frequency of contact. It's about the accuracy of it. Her presence in your life is marked by precision, by the way she seems tuned into your frequency even from a distance. Now, here's where it gets interesting. A woman who is craving you but hiding it will often disguise this attentiveness under casualness. She might frame her comment as a joke or pass off her observation as coincidence. This is her way of protecting herself from the vulnerability of exposure. Yet no matter how much she tries to mask it, her consistency in noticing and remembering you will keep surfacing. The psychological depth here is simple. Attention is currency, and we spend it where our heart is invested. If she were indifferent, her mind wouldn't catalog the intimate details of your life. She wouldn't track the small shifts in your mood or pick up on the subtle cues that most people overlook. But when she is craving you, every fragment of you becomes significant, and her mind will not let them go. The key is not to rush in and demand that she admit her feelings. It's to recognize that this level of awareness is a quiet form of intimacy, a sign that, deep down, she's already woven you into her emotional world. She may not be ready to voice it, but her focus on you is already speaking volumes. Because in the end, people may hide their words, they may control their actions, but the mind cannot help but hold on to what it wants. And when you are what she can't forget, it's only a matter of time before she stops trying to. One of the most telling signs that a woman is craving you but hiding it is when she subtly adjusts herself in your presence, not in a superficial, performative way, but in ways that signal she is attuning herself to you. It's not just about appearance. Though you might notice, she takes a little more care with how she looks when she knows she'll see you. It's about the energy she brings, the way she moderates her tone, her body language, even her choice of words. Humans naturally adapt to environments and people we want to connect with. It's part of our social wiring. When she's drawn to you, she will instinctively start to mirror certain aspects of you. Maybe she picks up on phrases you use, or she starts showing interest in topics she knows you're passionate about. This isn't manipulation, it's an unconscious alignment. We tend to move toward what we value, and when she values you, her behavior shifts to bridge the gap between who she is and who she believes you will receive well. Sometimes this alignment is subtle enough that you'd miss it if you weren't paying attention. She might match your pace when you're walking together, lean in slightly when you're talking, or adjust her schedule so that your paths cross more often. Other times it's in her emotional rhythm. She listens more intently, responds with a kind of patience she doesn't extend to others, or softens her stance during a disagreement because maintaining the connection matters more to her than winning the point. It's important to understand that this is not about her losing herself to please you. In fact, it's often a balancing act. She wants to preserve her independence while also making room for you in her world. The changes she makes are not about control. They are about creating compatibility, showing, without saying, that she's willing to make space for you. That willingness, even in its smallest forms, is a profound indicator of desire. But because she's hiding that desire, she will often keep these adjustments subtle enough to pass as coincidence. She'll downplay the effort. She won't admit that she spent extra time picking her outfit, or that she learned more about that interest of yours just so she could have a richer conversation with you. Yet, once you learn to read these cues, they stand out. They are the quiet moves of someone who wants to be closer without announcing it. The truth is, consistency in these small adjustments speaks louder than grand declarations. Anyone can make a big gesture once, but someone who is drawn to you will keep aligning themselves with you in ways that feel almost invisible until you realize how often it's happening. And here's the reflection I want to leave you with: attraction that is hidden is rarely inactive. It is alive in the adjustments, in the unspoken efforts, in the invisible choreography that happens when someone is drawn to you, but not ready to say it. If you can notice those shifts, you'll understand her feelings long before she ever voices them. Sometimes, the strongest sign that a woman is craving you but hiding it is not in what she does, but in what she doesn't do. She avoids making her feelings obvious, yet somehow still positions herself so you remain a constant presence in her life. She'll resist overt gestures, she won't declare her attraction, but she makes sure she's never too far away, physically, emotionally, or socially. This can show up in subtle ways. Maybe she always happens to be where you are. Even if she frames it as coincidence, perhaps she checks in just enough to keep the connection warm without ever stepping into openly romantic territory. She'll ask how you've been, but she won't overstep into deep vulnerability unless she feels the space is safe. She may interact with you on social media, liking posts, leaving small comments, or sending a reaction to your story, but never writing the kind of message that could reveal her full hand. There's a delicate push and pull happening here. On one side, her desire is urging her toward you. On the other, her fear, whether of rejection, vulnerability, or losing control, keeps her from crossing the line. The result is that she maintains proximity without full exposure. It's almost like she's saying, I want to be close enough to feel your presence, but not so close that you can read my heart. Psychologically, this behavior often stems from a deep need for emotional safety. Attraction, especially when intense, can feel risky. By staying just close enough, she gets to satisfy the craving for connection without risking the vulnerability that comes with full disclosure. In some ways, it's a form of self-protection. She's giving herself the gift of your presence while buying time to gauge if you are truly someone she can open up to. The challenge for you is recognizing the intent behind this positioning. Many men mistake it for indifference when, in reality, it's a cautious dance. She doesn't want to scare you off by seeming too forward, and she doesn't want to betray her own emotions before she's certain they'll be handled with care. Her hidden craving lives in the spaces between her words, in the consistent yet understated ways she keeps you within arm's reach. If you look closely, you'll notice that she makes it hard for you to completely drift away. Just when the distance grows, she'll do something small to pull you back in, send a random text, share something she knows you'll find interesting, or casually remind you of a shared memory. These are not accidents, they are quiet signals, the kind you can only read if you're paying attention. And here's the truth. Craving does not always announce itself in bold declarations. Sometimes it hides in the shadows, living in the quiet patterns of someone who can't quite let you go. The absence of open confession is not the absence of feeling. In fact, it may be proof of how deeply those feelings run. So remember this, just because she hasn't said it doesn't mean she hasn't felt it. Often, the loudest truths are whispered through silence.